everyone, I hope you're all doing well. The name is Harry Cruz and today we will be continuing our playthrough for the Final Fantasy Gamebook series, which is indeed the City of Thieves. This will be episode 2. I hope everyone's doing well and yeah, feel free to like and subscribe if you are interested in the channel. It would really help the channel grow and develop on YouTube, and it would really help me as well, just to kind of know that there are people watching and enjoying the experience of me reading through it and playing through the book. So without further ado, we're going to continue the City of Thieves from the last bookmark. Now there's a couple of bad decisions that we actually made in the end of the City of Thieves that I've decided that we're going to go back to the bookmark. I'm going to go through Clock Street again as before, but we're going to go through a couple of the entries that we've already done already. But we're going to just make some slightly subtle different decisions so we don't affect ourselves too much consequentially later on. You can read through the wrong entries or the entries that give negative consequences to us on part 1. If you're continuing from part 2, from part 1, sorry, then you might see a couple of entries that are similar. We're going to do slightly different approaches to them. So as you can see, we've got 27 gold, backpack, Potion of Fortune, 10 provisions, a majestic broadsword given to us by the villagers, leather armor and shield. We've got max stamina, 24 out of 24, which is very high, and 11 skill and 11 luck. So without further ado, let's go down Clock Street again and see what we can find. Here he is. Walking along the narrow street, you see a man wearing tattered rags sitting in the gutter. His head rests on his hands and he looks thoroughly miserable. If you wish to stop and talk to him, turn to 331, or if you'd rather continue walking east, turn to 161. Now we're going to continue walking east here because last time we spoke to him in part 1, he was actually a madman who was insane, so actually we're going to leave him be. The street makes a sudden left turn and continues north as far as you can see. However, you notice that around the corner the houses are much bigger, with doorways some 4 meters high. If you wish to enter the house, turn to 245, or if you wish to keep going northwards, turn to 282. We're going to enter the house. You enter a large room with brown walls and straw-covered floor. There is a musty smell hanging in the air which reminds you of the dirty old cave trolls that live on the northern borders. In the middle of the room is a table made from half a barrel with some roughly made stools around it. A high archway leads through the room to the back of the house, from where you hear a low murmuring voice. And we're going to walk through the archway, because that's what we did last time. The archway leads into a large room in the centre of which crouches a human-like creature, some 3 meters tall, as you can see here. He looks very worried and is muttering to himself. The lumps on his face are the distinguishing marks of an ogre. What do you like to do? Now, last time we spoke to him, he requested us to give him food, and we did that, and he actually wasn't grateful at all, and actually told us to leave. So we're actually going to, I know it sounds a bit malicious, but we're actually going to attack him with the sword, because he does have a couple of items that might be of interest to us. So we're going to fight the ogre. He looks unimpressed by our aggressive action, and picks up a large bone as a weapon and lumbers towards us. So we're going to fight him. 8 skill, quite high, and 9 stamina. Max roll there of 6 double 6s, 23. Slashed him on the side there. 8 to 9. Another 2 stamina points gone. And a further 2 as well. Go on the foot there. And 1 more. It should do it. And we got max roll again. Lovely jubbly. And the ogre has been defeated. The ogre's room is full of clutter and discarded bits and pieces. It does not appear to have tidied for years. Rummaging through the jumble, you find a polished wooden box with a hand made of white shell inlaid on the lid. The box is locked, and you cannot find the key to open it. What shall we do, guys? If you wish to smash it open with your sword, turn to 324. Or if you wish to leave the house, continue north, turn to 282. Now, if you remember in the first part, there was indeed some items in there, and we're going to have a look at those as well, but we're not going to put on an item as well which actually ended up being cursed, so we're going to smash it And we're not going to try on the glove, we're actually just going to take the gold pieces, the 15 gold pieces and 2 gems with us instead. And I'm going to quickly bookmark here as well. You swap the gems and gold pieces from amongst the ruined boxes and quickly head back to the street. On the right hand side of the street you see a large wooden barrel and a small boy sitting beside it on a stool. If you wish to talk to the boy, turn to 119, or if you want to keep walking north, turn to 247. Let's talk to the boy. The small boy smiles and thrusts a tin mug into your hand. He tells you that the barrel contains sparkling water which cures ills, wounds and diseases. To fill the mug, it costs 3 gold pieces. Now I actually think here, this is, well, I'll read the options first. If you wish to drink the water, turn to 233, or if you'd rather keep your gold and walk north to 247. Personally, if it was as good as it is, you'd have people flocking to your barrel. Ills, wounds and diseases, now I don't think it's legit. I reckon it's just either normal water or it could even be poisoned, and he may even try and mug us on the streets or something like that, no pun intended, with the mug there. So I actually reckon we should just move on and keep our gold. The street makes a sharp turn to the left and continues west for some distance. Turning the corner, you are suddenly jumped on by 3 short, stocky assailants who are hiding down an alleyway. 2 grab your legs and 1 tries to knock you out with a cudgel. Test your luck. Now, because we've got 11 luck, as you can see here, we have to roll anything 11 or under, basically, to be lucky. And essentially, in this case, we need to not roll a double 6. Anything else will be lucky. Every time you use a luck point, it will reduce to 10, in this case 987, and it will go down, making it probability wise less likely for us to actually be lucky. We are lucky, of course, but we actually rolled quite high. Actually rolled a 10 there, so we were nearly unlucky. So let's continue. We are indeed lucky. You manage to duck and avoid the blow. As the cudgel swings through the air above your head, you punch the dwarf holding it. He lets out a scream and drops the cudgel. Feeling his bleeding nose and seeing the blood on his hands, he screams again and runs off down the alley. The other 2 dwarfs holding your legs realise that you are not an easy victim and runs off after their fellow robber. Now, if you wish to chase them down the alley, turn to 221. We did that last time in part 1, and we actually got into a trap where they actually put a net over us and just took our cash. So we're going to continue west, guys, here, and this is where it gets to new entrants from here on out. On the left side of the street is a flower shop. The window is filled with exotic and colourful flowers. If you wish to enter the shop, turn to 145, or if you prefer to keep walking west, turn to 24. Now, this is a very interesting shop. It sounds as though, flowers, what could possibly go wrong in there? Let's have a look, shall we? Let's go into the shop. Okay. Inside the shop, an old woman is busily watering the flowers and plants. She looks up and smiles, saying, "Good afternoon, my name is Mrs. Pipe. Can I interest you in one of my special flowers?" And she apparently is also a London, from the London East End, but if you wish to see what she has to offer, turn to 293. Or if you wish to refuse politely and leave the shop, turn to 24. Wow. An old woman watering flowers and plants. Why not? Let's see what she has to offer. She explains that she has just picked one of her golden flowers. There are 10 golden petals on the flower. You are told that if dipped in dog blood, each petal picked, thrown on the ground will change to a gold piece. Mrs. Pipe asks for any magical item, a piece of armour or food, 2 portions of your provisions in exchange for the golden flower. I reckon we should exchange 2 provisions for this. I'll tell you why, because we've actually got really high health. We've got 24 out of 24 stamina, and we've got 10 provisions, so I actually think we should trade with Mrs. Pipe for the golden flower, just in case if that can be an important item later on. So we're going to do 2 provisions. And we've got no winged helmet, which is interesting, so I wonder if that's on a different street. Mrs. Pipe hands you the golden flower and thanks you for your custom and bids you farewell. You leave the shop and head west. There is another shop on the left-hand side of the street. An iron grille over the window prevents you from seeing what kind of shop it is. You try the handle on the door and it turns. You want to enter this mysterious shop, turn to 336, or shall we continue west without looking into the shop? So it's an unknown shop to us, we do not know what it is, It could not even be a shop, it might just be a shop window and something else is in it. We don't know. But curiosity is, you know, something that this hero of ours is interested in, so I reckon we should enter the shop. Once inside the shop, you realise why the windows are barred. It is in fact a jeweller's shop. Standing behind the glass counter is a huge, bald-headed man with an eye patch covering his left eye. He gives you a welcoming smile, but the sign of his ugly mouth with its few black-stained teeth does not inspire much confidence. A large battle axe conveniently behind the man is to deter any would-be robbers. On display are several ornate rings inset with diamonds, emeralds and rubies. The man asks whether you are buying or selling. Now we could ask the price of the rings, offer to sell gems, which actually we do have gems, don't we? We got 2 gems from the ogre, or we can attack him with the sword. Now I reckon we should sell the gems, but the rings are quite a curious thing to ask, so I reckon we should ask that first. Ah, okay, interesting. The man leans on the counter and tells you that the ring invisibility costs 10 gold pieces, a ring of fire costs 8, and a ring of ice costs 7. If you'd rather not buy a ring, you may continue and head west, but I actually reckon we should buy one. We have got 39 gold pieces, so we actually in theory could buy all these rings in theory, although I'm not sure if they will allow us to buy multiple rings and if it's just the one ring we can buy. The ring invisibility is 10 gold pieces, which I think is such a brilliant thing to buy. Presuming it's, of course, factual and true. You never know, he might have lied to us, we don't know. But I'm going to presume it's true and take a ring of invisibility. You hand over 10 gold pieces and receive a ring of invisibility in exchange. Bidding the man farewell, you slip the ring on your finger and leave the shop to head west. Okay. You arrive at a four-way junction in the street. The street continuing west changes its name to Key Street, and the street running north is called Market Street. And Market Street, of course, if you remember the first junction in part 1, we could have gone straight to Market Street. So that's interesting. Looking north, you see a crowd of people walking up the street, cheering loudly and waving their arms in the air. You decide to follow them. Turn to 148. Very interesting display there. That guy in the bottom right is a bit too happy, I think. As you catch up with the chanting crowd, you see that they are carrying eggs and rotten tomatoes. Soon the street opens out into a large market square. All around the edge are stalls with vendors, hawkers, musicians and entertainers carrying on their business. In the middle of the square is an elevated pillory. Above the noise of the crowd, a trumpet sounds and the crowd starts to pelt the man in the pillory with rotten food. An old woman standing next to you, which I think is the smoke little person that I mentioned earlier, offers you 2 eggs to throw. Not wishing to appear like the outsider, you take the eggs and hurl them. But as you do so, the old woman picks your pocket without you noticing. You lose 1 gold piece, and unaware of the loss, you walk away from the crowd and look through the various stalls. How interesting, so we couldn't even avoid that. The food stalls are selling fruit, vegetables, meat and hot soup, corn and chestnuts for hungry shoppers. Along the west side of the square you see a man dressed in a purple velvet playing a lyre. Would you like to buy some hot food for 1 gold piece? Why not? It is a delicious meal, and after licking your fingers clean of every last morsel, you feel restored and you regain 2 stamina points. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so we don't actually need that at all, but it's good to know for future that we can actually buy food here and gain 2 stamina. Excellent. So there's there's an option here. We can either walk past this lyrics person here, or we can stop and listen to the music. Why don't we stop and listen? The man stops playing and tells you that he can bring you good fortune. For the sum of 3 gold pieces, he will sing you a song that will bring you luck. If you wish to pay the musician, turn to Route 37, or if you're not interested, you may walk to the next stall. Well, before, I thought that that boy with the water, it was probably untruthful. But it's possible that this man actually might be truthful, because 3 gold pieces it might be legit. And I reckon even if it isn't he doesn't cast a blessing or is magical, I reckon the song might still hold some Depending on how good he is, of course, but he must be quite good. Might actually hold some positive effect for us, so I reckon we should pay him. Oh wow, the man strums his lyre and sings you a merry song all about you and your good fortune. He does indeed have the power to make you lucky. You gain 2 luck points and walk on to the next door. Brilliant, I was right in my assessment there. So, I think we're back now to 11. We were on 10. A small circle of people are standing around a bare-chested man. He is enormous, and his muscles look as hard as iron. He is asking the crowd for a volunteer to play catch with the cannonball. He states that whoever drops the cannonball must pay the other 5 gold pieces. If you wish to take him on his game, turn to 378, or if you'd rather walk on, turn to 52. I think, because we've got 11 skill, I reckon we can probably take him, you know. I reckon we should take him on at this game. Let's just do it. Okay. The bare-chested man laughs as he tosses the cannonball from hand to hand with relative ease. He then takes his position on the opposite side of the circle. To play this game, you must roll 1 die, alternatively for you and the bare-chested man, to represent the cannonball being passed between you. Repeat this process until a 1 is thrown, in which case the cannonball is dropped and the loser must pay the winner 5 gold pieces. Wow, so it's actually nothing to do with any of the stats then. It's just about luck on the die. Interesting. So let's roll a die then. With a grunt, the bare-chested man throws the cannonball in a high arc towards you. Let's try and catch it. We do indeed. We catch it. Now we have to throw the strength. Summoning our strength, we catch the heavy ball and throw it back towards the bare-chested man. I'm not going to continuously read the same over and over again. So we got a 4. Right back at us. We do catch it, but only just. We rolled a 2 there. There we go. Yep. Catched it. In here, this is where he's got to roll the 1 because we're throwing it at him. So really, if we can try and get a 1 here, that would be excellent. Like that. Ace. So he does drop the cannonball. The bare-chested man stumbles with the cannonball and drops to the cobblestones with a resounding crash, and the crowd of onlookers erupts with cheering for the new champion. With a lusty handshake, the bare-chested man congratulates you and hands you a pouch accounting 5 gold pieces. With the game over, you return exploring the market. I'm surprised because if you remember in the second book, the third book, I mean, the Forest of Doom, there was a man when we had to wrestle him and he got really disgruntled. We beat him, but this guy, he's just like, yeah, no problem. Well done for beating me. Let's continue. Interesting. So behind the next store is a young man with a pointy nose, selling small weapons and items of equipment. The price of his wares are chalked up on the slate. Would you like to buy anything from the store? Throwing knife I don't think is necessary for our skill level because we're proper strong. We're proper decent at our skill and stamina. Climbing rope might be helpful though. 2 gold pieces, specially crafted for scaling surfaces. That'll be handy. A butcher's meat hook, we can actually read it before buying. A large piece of S-shaped metal sharp enough to pierce a carcass. I think we're probably okay. An iron spike, what's that? For 1 gold piece. That once belonged to the Grand Cormorant of Fang. It's a collector's item. Special price just for you, my friend. To your eye, it just looks like a sharp piece of metal that might come in handy later. Well, why not? And a lantern. Oil lantern made of glass and metal, a more valuable and reliable source of light than a torch. I think so, just in case we have to go underground anywhere. We are indeed finished. Now let's just review the situation. 26 gold, because we've done quite well winning a few things as well. Got 2 gems as well. The ring of invisibility, presuming it's true. The golden flower, iron spike, climbing rope, and lantern. Backpack, obviously it's all in there. 8 provisions, potion of fortune, majestic broadsword, leather armour, and a shield. Our stats are full. We're doing really well, I think. Presuming we've got everything we need to complete the quest at this stage. In the next store area, there is a small, brightly coloured tent. Attached to it is a sign that reads, Madam Star Clairvoyant. If you wish to enter the tent, turn to 394, or if you'd rather continue north, turn to 117. Let's enter the tent, I'm curious. Sitting behind a small table is a plump woman, wearing bright yellow clothes and a scarf over her head. She smiles as you enter, bidding you to sit down. She tells you that a glimpse of the future will cost you 2 gold pieces. If you'd rather pay to hear her predictions, turn to 368, or if you'd rather carry on unaided, you can leave the tent and head north. I'm curious, I love a clairvoyant me. I do like predictions. Okay, interesting. Looking at a crystal ball, she seems to go into a trance. She tells you that you are searching for a man, a wise man with magical powers. Wow, she must be a psychic then. She pauses for a moment and then draws in a deep breath before going on to tell you that the man you are looking for lives in a hut beneath a bridge to the north. Beneath a bridge, that's very helpful. She warns you to be careful when approaching the man, for he does not welcome strangers. Then she looks away from the crystal ball and abruptly asks you to leave. Her face seems to be hiding something. Has she seen some dreadful fate awaiting you? You decide to leave the tent and head north. Ooh, I like a cliffhanger like that. I reckon we should save here actually. But bookmark it. Let's continue for a little bit longer. At the end of the market, a street named, I think that's Bridge Street, but the bookmark's gone out of the way now. Bridge Street runs north out of the square, which you decide to walk down in hope of finding the elusive Nicodemus. It starts to rain and the tumble-down houses huddled together on either side of the street look as if they need shelter themselves. Most have their windows boarded up and are empty, but the door to one flaps noisily in the wind. If you wish to take refuge in the derelict house until the rain stops, turn to 188, or if you'd rather press on ahead, turn to 31. Is it possible, do you think, that there might be plague here? Because if they're all boarded up, that strikes me as like, oh, it could be something like illness-wise. I am curious though, I like to do options, so let's go in. It is a gloomy house, but you can make out the shapes of abandoned furniture. Litter and rubble is strewn all over the floor. You find a broken chair and slump down in it to rest. Suddenly, you notice something slither across the floor, and before you can get to your feet, you see in the half-light that you are encircled by 6 snakes, each with 1 meter long. We could either hack at them with our sword, or make a dash for the door. Again, our skill's strong. Let's take on these snakes. The snakes are not very tough opponents for a person trained in the art of swordsmanship. You can fight them all at once. However, each time they hit you, they will inflict 4 damage instead of the usual 2 thanks to their poison in their fangs. Let's fight them. So 5 skill, 5 stamina, quite an easy adversary in comparison. Lower on the die roll, but our difference, about 6 skill, makes up for that. You hit them, and hit them again, and they're already weakened down to just the last snake. And without further ado, snakes are quite easily dispatched. We are triumphant. If you win, you may leave the house via the front door. You leave the direct house quickly to avoid encountering any more nasty surprises and return to the street. Outside, the rain has stopped and you set off north again. So no items in there, interesting. Now, remember the clairvoyant's advice here. I'll let you have a look at the image just for a bit. Nasty skulls though. Ahead you see a wooden bridge stretching over a dirty river. Various bits of rubbish are floating down to the sea on its black surface, and you squirm at the sight of a human hand passing by. A human hand. The bridge supports and columns reach high above you, and you see skulls, both human and non-human, tied to them. The wind makes an eerie noise as it whistles through the bridge structure, reminding you of tortured souls crying out for help. Almost hidden from view is a small flight of steps going down underneath the bridge from where you are standing. A one-legged man carrying a sack is crossing the bridge from the northern bank, and we can either climb down the steps, or we can wait and talk to the one-legged man. Now, the clairvoyant correctly interpreted that we were here to see an old man, and said that he was under the bridge. Now, presuming we trust her, I reckon we should go down there, because she did not know our mission, let's go down the steps and see what happens. I think we found our guy, you know. Proper beard, that is. The smell by the water edge is terrible. Above you, you hear the sound of footsteps crossing the wooden bridge. Built into the foundation of the bridge is a wooden hut. Drawn curtains obstruct your view into the small building, but you know that you are not welcome when you read the words "Keep Out" painted on the door in large red letters. You draw in a deep breath and knock on the door. You hear a muttering and the shuffling of feet, then suddenly the door is thrown open. Before you stands a white-haired old man with a long beard, wearing long white robes. He looks at you sternly and says, "Explain yourself to Nicodemus." You are elated at finding Nicodemus and tell him about Zanbar Bone's reign of terror in the town of Silverton, and why Mayor Owen Carolith asked you to find his old friend, who, by the way, gave us the lovely sword, to help them. Nicodemus frowns and walks back inside his hut, beckoning you to follow him. He sits down in a rocking chair and starts to talk in a calm voice. "I am an old and tired, and wish for no more adventure. I live here under Singing Bridge in Port Blacksand to escape the pleas for aid from people falling on hard times. Hence no one bothers me, but I do wish to help my old friend Owen. I will tell you how to defeat the Night Prince, Zanbar Bone. Listen carefully." Nicodemus lights his pipe, and after a moment with it in his mouth, his eyes are distant in deep thought. He exhales a billowing blue cloud and continues. "The Night Prince can only be defeated after sunset. In the daylight hours he exists on another plane. No doubt he will have his servants to protect him, but should you get past them, you will need something special to deal with Bone himself. To protect yourself from his entrancing stare, you must have a white unicorn in a yellow sun tattooed on your forehead. Normal weapons will not harm him. First, you must shoot him through the heart with a silver arrow. This will paralyze him, but not kill him. Then, you must quickly rub the ground compound of a black pearl, hag's hair and a lotus flower in his open eyes. With luck he will decay before you in a matter of seconds. Whereas if your arrow misses, I'm afraid you will die the moment he touches you." With this, Nicodemus taps out the ash from his pipe onto the bare floorboards. "The items of the compound can be found in Port Blacksand if you search hard enough, but I regret I cannot accompany you." Nicodemus then draws you a map of how to reach Zanbar Bone's guarded tower from Port Blacksand. He stands up, shakes your hand and wishes you well. Leaving his hut, you climb the steps and cross the bridge over Catfish River, Bridge Street, and continue north a short distance before ending at a junction. Now we can either go west down Harbour Street or east Candle Street. Now let's just quickly have a look again. So we've got to have a tattoo on our forehead of a white unicorn in a yellow sun. That's to protect us from his entrancing stare. So that's one thing we need. Then we need a silver arrow. And then we've got to rub the ground compound of black pearl, hag's hair and a lotus flower. We've got 5 things we need to kind of look for now for the rest of this City of Thieves business. I'm hoping that we haven't missed anything from the previous streets, otherwise we may have to go all the way back from the beginning. But I hope that we've got at least all we need from this point onwards. But I think this is a lovely place to bookmark in case we need to read this once again. So I'm going to save it here. I'm going to do a couple more choices, and I think we'll leave it here. Actually, no. You know what? I actually think it's a lovely end point to part 2 of the City of Thieves here, actually, because we've just found Nicodemus, the wizard under the bridge, and we'll continue moving on in the second part, I presume, of the City of Thieves later down the line, hopefully sooner rather than later, and we just need to find these items, really. So I hope, like I said, you've liked the video so far. You've liked me talking through the book and the entries. I just wonder, you know, what sort of decisions would you have made in each of the entries? Feel free to comment below any of your options there, and feel free to like and subscribe. And you know, I've got plenty of other content out there too. I've got the other Fighting Fantasy game book series that I've also done as well. I've got the WARLOCK FIRETOP Mountain. Citadel of Chaos, Forest of Doom, and of course this one as well. So this is the 4th book I've played through. I've also got a playlist of motivational type videos, which I also like to do as well, that are on personal development for young people. So if those sorts of things interest you, feel free to have a look on my channel and just see where things take you. But until then, have a lovely rest of your day, take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you very soon. Take care, bye!